Now, welcome back, everybody. Continue with the past questions, and the next, this is further math 2006 YKSSE. Now the next is number 12, and let's go straight to that. Number 12 says find the roots of the quadratic equation 2x squared plus number 12 2x squared plus kx plus 5. 2x squared plus kx plus 5 equals 0 are alpha and beta, where k is a constant. If alpha squared plus beta squared is minus 1, okay, we know that alpha squared plus beta squared is the same as alpha plus beta all squared minus 2 alpha beta, and they have given us that, and they said that is the same as minus 1. The formula for alpha squared plus beta squared is alpha plus beta all squared minus alpha beta, and that's equal to minus 1. So that simply means alpha plus beta all squared minus 2 alpha beta is equal to minus 1. So let's find alpha plus beta. Alpha plus beta is minus b over a, and that's going to be minus k over 2, and alpha beta is c over a, which is 5 over 2. Of course, the coefficient of x squared is a, the coefficient of x is b, and the constant is c. So that simply means alpha plus beta all squared, which is minus k over 2 squared minus 2 times alpha beta, that's minus 2 times 5 over 2 equals minus 1. We have to find the values of k. So this simply means k squared over 4, 2 cancels 2, minus 5 equals minus 1. And that's the same as k squared over 4 equals minus 1 plus 5, which means k squared over 4 equals 4. And k squared, when you cross multiply, will be equal to 16, which means k equals square root of 16, and that's plus or minus 4. So that's the answer, and that's option C. And we go straight to the next, which is number 13. Find the sum of the series 96 plus 24 plus 6 and so on. These are the terms of the series. Now sum is going to be a over 1 minus r, where a is 96 and r is t2 over t1, which is 24 over 96, and that simply means 1 over 4. So s, the sum is therefore a, which is 96 divided by 1 minus r, which is 1 minus 1 over 4. That simply means 96 divided by 3 over 4, and that's 128. Of course, that's 96 times 4 over 3, which is 128. We move straight to the next, and that's number 14. What does number 14 say? Number 14, evaluate log 8 base 0.25. This is the same as log 8 divided by log 0.25 is the same as 1 over 4. That's log 1 over 4. And I can write this as log 2 raised to power 3 divided by log 2 raised to power 3 divided by log, of course, 1 over 4 simply means 4 raised to power minus 1, which is 2 raised to power, or if you like, 1 over 4 is 1 over 2 raised to power 2, which is 2 raised to power minus 2. So that's what I'm going to write here. That's log 2 raised to power minus 2. and then I can then the next line will be 3 log 2 over minus 2 log 2. So log 2 cancels log 2. I need to write that well. Log 2 cancels log 2, and the answer is 3 over minus 2, which is the same as minus 3 over 2. That's option D. And then to the next, which is number 15. Number 15 says evaluate the limit of 1 minus x all over x squared minus 3x plus 2 as x tends to 1. Okay, that simply means the limit of 1 minus x over x squared minus 3x plus 2. If you factorize that, is the same as x minus 1 times x minus 2. That's the same as x squared minus 3x plus 2. So that means limit of 1 minus x all over x minus 1 times x minus 2 as x tends to 1, which means limit of 1 minus x over 1 minus x, of course, is the same as minus into bracket x minus 1. Of course, 1 minus x is what that looks like, is the same as minus into bracket minus 1 plus x, which simply means minus into bracket minus 1 plus x is the same as x minus 1. So that's another representation for the numerator, all over x minus 1 times x minus 2, and that simply means as x tends to 1, which means limit x minus 1 cancels x minus 1, and that will be limit of minus 1 all over x minus 2 as x tends to 1, which is the same as minus 1 over, now we can substitute 1 for x, minus 1 over 1 minus 2, which is of course minus 1 over minus 1, and that's 1. So the answer is A, very simply. And we go to the next trait, number 16. It says the mean age of n men in a club is 50 years. Two men aged 55 and 63 left the club, and the mean age reduced by 1 year. Find the value of n. Mean is total age. Let x be total age. Total age is x. So if mean will be total age, which is x over number of men, which is n, and that's 50. So we can have this as equation 1, x over n equals 50. Let this be equation 1. When two men of ages 55 and 63 left a club, the mean reduced by 1. Okay, that means total age will now be x. When two men left, total age will be x minus the sum of their ages. 55 plus 63 will be 55 plus 63, that's 118. So the new total age is going to be 118 all over number of men now is n minus 2. So when two men left, the mean became 1 less than what it was when they were n before they left. So that means mean is 50 minus 1, which is 49. When two men left, the number of men will become n minus 2. Their total age is going to be x minus the sum of the ages of the two men that left, and the mean reduced by 1. That means it becomes 49. So I can call this equation 2. Now from equation 1, x, of course, by making x a subject of equation 1, you have 50n, x equals 50n, and you can now put this x in equation 2. If I put x in equation 2, it simply means that 50n minus 118 over n minus 2 equals 49. And when I cross multiply, I'm going to have 50n minus 118 rather equals 49 times n minus 2, which means 50n minus 118 equals 49n minus 96. And I can collect like terms to have 50n minus 49n equals minus 96 plus 118, and that means n is therefore 20. And that's it. Minus 96 plus, that's correct, 118. You look at that, 49 times 2 cannot be 90, cannot be 96 here. That's 98. So sorry about that. When you cross multiply here, 50n minus 118 is going to be, okay, this 50n minus 118 equals 49 times n minus 2 is going to be 50n minus 118 equals 49n minus 98. I know what I wrote before. So when you collect like terms, n equals 20. Now to the next very quickly. That's number 17. A committee of 4 is to be selected from a group of 5 men and 3 women. In how many ways can this be done if the chairman of the committee must be a man? This is simply like saying if there must be at least one man on the committee. So let's say the first person is a man and the remaining 3 persons are women, or the first 2 persons are men and the remaining 2 are women, or the first 3 persons are men and the remaining 1 is a woman, or all the members of the committee are men. Because there's no restriction as to the number of, what's important is that there must be at least one man. That means there can be more than one man, and it's possible not to have any woman at all. So the number of ways of having one man and 3 women will be 5 combination 1 times, there are 5 men, so that's 5 combination 1 times, and 3 women, that's 3 combination 3. So that will be 5 combination 1 times 3 combination 3. 5 combination 1 times 3 combination 3, which is 5 combination 1, that's times 3 combination 3, that's 5. So the number of ways of doing this is 5. The number of ways of having 2 men and 2 women will be 5 combination 2 times 3 combination 2, which is 30. The number of ways of having 3 men and 1 woman is 5 combination 3 times 3 combination 1, which is 30, which is also 30. And the number of ways of having 4 men, all of the members on the committee being men, that's 5 combination 4, which is 5. So the total number of ways is just going to be the sum of all of these. 5 plus 30 plus 30 plus 5, which is 70. So the number of ways of arranging them such that the chairman is a man is 70. So that's 70. And now to the next very quickly. Number 18. Number 18 says simplify divided by n combination 4. This is the same as n factorial over n minus 4 factorial divided by n factorial over n minus 4 factorial, which is the same as n factorial over n minus 4 factorial times n minus 4 factorial over n factorial. So that means n minus 4 factorial cancels n minus 4 factorial, n factorial cancels n factorial, and we're left with 4 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and that's 24. And the answer is simply A. Now to the next quickly, number 19. Number 19 says, which of the following matrices is a singular matrix? A singular matrix is a matrix, it's a square matrix whose determinant is 1. And let's check the first one. That's determinant 1 times 1 minus 0, that's not 0. So it's a singular matrix whose determinant is 0. Let me take that again. A singular matrix is a square matrix. Being square matrix means the number of rows is the same as the number of columns. It's a square matrix whose determinant is 0. So let's check which of these is that. That will not give us. Okay, the answer is C, because if you check the determinant of this matrix, 6, 8 of the matrix, 3, 8, 6, 16, you see that the determinant will be 3 times 6, 3 times 16 rather, minus, the determinant is 3 times 16 minus 6 times 8, which is the same as 48 minus 48, and that's 0. So the determinant of this matrix is 0, so it's a singular matrix, and the correct option is C. Now to the next, which is number 20. Very quickly, simplify h raised to power n. That's a piece of cake actually, I can already see. H raised to power n times 2 raised to power 2n divided by 4 raised to power 3n. This is the same as 8 is 2 raised to power 3 times n 2 raised to power 3n times 2 raised to power 2n divided by 4 is the same as 2 raised to power 2. The power 2 multiplied by 3n will be 6n, and that simply means 2 raised to power 3n by the laws of indices. 2 raised to power 3n plus 2n minus 6n, and that's the same as 2 raised to power 3n plus 2n is 5n minus 6n is minus n, and the correct option is A. We move straight to the next, number 21. The area of a sector of a circle is 3 centimeters squared. If a sector subtends an angle of 1.5 radians at the center, calculate the radius of a circle. Okay, the area of a sector is given by the formula 3 theta over 360 degrees times pi r squared, and in this case that area is 3 centimeters squared. The theta is 1.5 radians, so we have 1.5 over 360 degrees is the same as 2 pi radians times pi r squared equals 3. So that means pi cancels pi, and we have 1.5 r squared over 2 equals 3, and that means r squared equals 2 times 3 over 1.5, and that of course 6 divided by 1.5, which is 4. So that means r equals square root of 4, which is 2 centimeters. And we go straight to the next, and that's number 22. That's number, I'm not skipping any number. A particle of mass 2.5 kilograms is moving at a speed of 12 meters per second if a force of magnitude 10 newtons acts against it. Find how long it takes to come to rest. Okay, mass is 2.5 kilograms and it has a velocity u of 12 meters per second and a force of 10 newtons acts against it. Now, how long will it take it to come to rest? We know that F is ma, where a is v minus u over t. So that means 10 newtons, which is a force, is mass, which is 2.5 times final velocity is going to be 0 when it comes to rest, minus initial velocity, which is 12 over time. And that simply means 10 equals 2.5 times 12 is 30. The negative sign, this is actually minus 12 over, this is actually minus 12 over t, but I don't need the negative sign. It's just there to show that the force is acting in a negative direction. So I can write it simply as 2.5 times 30, which is 2.5 times 12, which is 30. So that's 30 over t. I'm ignoring the sign because it's just to show direction, and this simply means 10t equals 30, which means t equals 3 seconds. And the correct option therefore is B, 3.0 seconds. And now to the next, which is 23. Calculate the standard deviation of the distribution below. Alright, we have, this is, I want to say, we have 1 to age, I need to make a table. The age groups are 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and then 11 to 15. While their frequencies are, the frequencies are 3, 5, and 2. Okay, 3, 5, and 2. Let me go for the class mark, which is x. 1 plus 5 divided by 2, 1 plus 5 is 6 divided by 2, 3. This will be 8, 16 divided by 2, 26 divided by 2, 13. Now what's the mean? Mean is summation fx over summation f, and that's the same as fx is, okay, 3 times 3, 9. That's 9 plus 5 times 8, 40, plus 2 times 13 is 26, divided by summation f, 3 plus 5 plus 2, that's 10. And this is the same as, that's 49 plus 26, which is 75 over 10, and that's 7.5. So mean is 7.5. Now I need another column for x minus mean, which is 3 minus 7.5, that's going to be minus 4.5. 8 minus 7.5, that's 0.5. 13 minus 7.5, 13 minus 7.5 is 5.5. Now I need another column for x minus mean squared, the square of x minus mean, which is 4.5 squared, and that's 20.25. 0.5 squared, which is 0.25, and then 5.5 squared, which is 30.25. Now, so I need a final column for summation f times x minus mean squared. There's always hardly a space to write this. The summation of the product of frequency, the product of frequency and the square of x minus mean, and that's it. So what I'm doing is 3 times 20.25, 5 times 0.25, and 2 times 30.25. So 3 times 20.25 20.25. That's 60.75. The next is 5 times 0.25, which is 1.25. And the next is 2 times 30.25, which is 60.5. Can't I make this clearer? X minus mean squared. Okay. And now, standard deviation SD is given by the formula square root summation fx minus mean all squared divided by summation f. So the total of the last entries on the last column, which is 60.75 plus 1.25 plus 1.25 plus 60.5, and that's 122. So that's square root of 122.5 divided by summation f, which is 10, and that simply means the square root of 12.25, and that's equal to square root of the answer is 3.5. So the standard deviation is simply 3.5. We move on very quickly to the next. That's going to be number 24. Number 24. It says, in a firing contest, the probability that Kojo and Kwame hit a target is 2/5 and 1/3 respectively. What's the probability that none of them hit the target? That simply means let the probability that Kojo hit it be P of PK this way, and that means 2/3. That's the probability that Kojo hits it, 2/3. And the probability that Kwame, I'm using Q for Kwame, that Kwame hits it be P PQ this way, which is 1/3. What's the probability that none of them hits it? The probability that none of them hits it will be the probability that Kojo didn't hit it. That's the complement of, that's K complement, times the probability that Kwame didn't hit it. So, and that's the same as P, K complement intersection Q complement. The probability that Kojo doesn't hit it is the same as 1 minus 2/3, which is 1 minus 2/3, which is 1/3. Or let me do this for clarity. That's 1 minus, I can go straight to that. The probability that Kojo didn't hit it is the same as 1 minus the probability that Kojo hit it. So 1 minus 2/3, which is 1/3, times the probability that Kwame doesn't hit it is 1 minus the probability that Kwame hits it, and that's 1 minus 1/3, which is 2/3. Yeah, so the answer is 1/3 times 2/3, and that's 2/9. How that's correct? Yeah, that's correct. Or let's see, what's the probability that none of them hits the target? The probability that Kojo hits the target is 2/5 and not 2/3. So the probability that Kwame hits it is correct, 1/3. Yeah, that's correct. So the probability that Kwame doesn't hit it is going to be 1 minus the probability that Kwame hits it, which is 1 minus 2/5, and that means 3/5. So the probability that none of them hits it is going to be probability that Kojo doesn't hit it and Kwame doesn't hit it, which is 3/5 times 2/3. 3 cancels 3, and then we are left with 2/5. So we move on straight to the next, which is number 25 quickly. The equation of a line of best fit of variables x, y is y equals This is a piece of cake. 19.33 plus 0.42x, where x is the independent variable. Estimate the value of y when x is 15. Okay, when x equals 15, y will be equal to 19.33 plus 0.42 times 15. 19.33 plus 0.42 times 15, and that's 25.63. We need not waste time on that. That's just it simply. 26 says find the coordinates of a point on the curve y equals, this is called x squared plus 4x minus 2, where the gradient is 0. Coordinate of a point where it is 0. First of all, the gradient is dy dx, and it's 2x plus 4. So the coordinate of a point on it where it is 0. So when the gradient is 0, that means dy dx equals 0. Simply means 2x plus 4 equals 0, and that means 2x equals minus 4, which means x equals minus 2 when you divide both sides by 2. So they say we should find the coordinates of a point. So that therefore the coordinate of a point is y. And what's y at that point? Okay, we need to find y first of all. So to find y, we just put the value minus 2 in the function. Y at that point is going to be minus 2 squared. We put y in the formula. We put x equals minus 2 in the formula. Y equals x squared plus 4x minus 2. 4 times minus 2 minus 2. And that's the same as 4 minus 8 minus 2. Which is minus 4 minus 2, and that's minus 6. So therefore the coordinate of a point is minus 2 and then minus 6. So to the next very quickly, which is number 27. Number 27 says find the least value of the function f of x. F of x equals, find the least value of the function f of x equals 3x squared plus 18x plus 32. Least value. Okay, at the least value, the derivative of this function is 0. So let's go for it. That means f prime of x, which is derivative of f of x, f prime is simply 6x plus 18 at the least value. At the least value, f prime is equal to 0, and that means 6x plus 18 equals 0, which means 6x equals minus 18, and that simply means x equals minus 3. So therefore the least value of f of x is going to be least value of f of x is now going to be the value of f of x when x equals minus 3. What f of x is when x equals minus 3. This value of f of x will now be 3 times minus 3 squared plus 18 times minus 3 plus 32, which is 3 times minus 3 squared is 9 times 3 is 27. Minus 18 times minus 3 is minus 54. Yeah, that's correct. Plus 32. And that's 27 minus 54 is minus 27 plus 32, which is 5. So the least value of f of x is simply 5. So to the next very quickly, the next one is number 28. A force of 30 newtons is applied to an object of mass m kilograms, which is at rest on a smooth horizontal surface. If the acceleration produced is 8 meters per second squared, find the value of m. Okay, we know that force is ma. Now the mass is m kilograms. The mass is m kilograms and force is 32 newtons. So that means if it's at rest, that means u is equal to 0. F equals 32 newtons. That means 32 equals mass, which is m, times acceleration, which is, find the value of m. Okay, mass times acceleration, which is 8, and m is therefore 32 over 8. M is actually of course F over A, and that's 4 kilograms. Now to the next very quickly, 29. 29 says, given that the product of the matrices 1, 4 and minus 6p is equal to the matrix 3 minus 26. Let me write the 4 properly. This simply means when you multiply, that will be minus 12 minus 3p, and this will be minus 6 plus 4p is the same as 3 minus 26. When you now compare the elements in the two matrices, minus 6 plus 4p will be the same as minus 26, and that means 4p equals minus 26 plus 6, which means 4p equals minus 20, and p is therefore, when you divide both sides by 4, minus 5. Alright, the correct okay, that's B, obviously. The next is number 30, which says find the coordinates of the center of a circle 4x squared plus 4y squared minus 5x plus 3y minus 2 equals 0. Okay, that's a piece of cake too. Let's rearrange. 4x squared minus 5x plus 4y squared plus 3y minus 2 equals 0. And that simply means 4 into bracket x squared minus, I want to complete the square, but I have to do this before I can complete the square, plus, because the coefficient of x and the coefficient of y are not 1, so that means 4 into bracket y squared plus 3 over 4 y minus 2 equals 0. The continuation of the line before it, and that simply means 4. Now I can complete the square into x minus half of minus 5 over 4 is minus 5 over 8 all squared. This is how to complete the square, minus the square of that half is going to be minus 5 over 8 squared is the same as 25 over 64 plus, I close that bracket, plus, I'm completing the square for these two, that will be plus 4 times y plus half of 3 over 4 is 3 over 6 all squared minus the square of that half. 3 over 6 squared is 9 over 36. Close the bracket, and then minus 2, everything equals 0. So how do we move on? This simply means, okay, if I decide to divide through by 4, if I divide through by 4, this will be over 4 over 4, and this will be over 4. So that means x, what I'm going to have is x minus 5 over 8 all squared minus 25 over 64 plus, I'm dividing through by 4 now, y plus 3, because this 4 will cancel this 4, this 4 will cancel this 4, 2 here 1, 2 here 2, so I'll have y plus 3 over 6. I hope my 3 over 6 is correct. Oh damn it, half of, what kind of mistake is this? I need to go back, sorry about that. This remains what it is, plus I want to go back to this. I didn't evaluate that correctly, so this is the same as 4 times y plus half of 3 over 4 is 3 over 8 all squared minus the square of that half. 3 over 8 squared is 9 over 64, and then minus 2 equals 0. So now I want to divide everything. If I divide through by 4, this will be over 4, this will be over 4, and this also be over 4. So I'll be left with x minus 5 over 8 all squared minus 25 over 64 plus y plus 3 over 8 all squared minus 9 over 64 minus 2 over 4 is going to be 2 here 1, 2 here 2, which is 1 over 2 equals 0. That's what it means. So let me remove the 4s I put here to show how I divided through by 4. And now that simply means x minus 5 over 8 squared plus y plus 3 over 8 squared. So what is minus 25 over 64 minus 9 over 64? That's minus 34 over 64. So I'm simply doing minus 64 over 64. I'm simply doing minus 64 over 64 plus 1 over 2. Okay, minus 25 over 64. That's simply minus 25 over 64, which is minus 9 over 64 is minus 34 over 64. And what's minus 34 over 64 minus 1 over 2? That's the same as, let's see, of course 34 over 64 is the same as 2 here is 17, 32. So I'm going to have that's minus 17 minus 16 over 32, which is minus, need to be sure, which is minus 33 over 32. I hope that's correct. 2 here 17, 2 here 32. LCM here, minus 17 minus 16. So this is actually minus 33 over 32. I'm leaving it as a fraction. So that means minus, okay, let me write this first. Minus 33 over 32 equals 0. So I can simply write everything as x minus 5 over 8 squared plus y plus 3 over 8 squared equals 33 over 32, moving minus 33 over 32 to the right hand side. And we know that the general equation of a circle is given by x squared minus a plus y minus b. The general equation of a circle is given by circle with center AB is given by x minus a all squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. So if we compare this to the equation that we got, we can see that minus a is going to be minus 5 over 8. That means a is 5 over 8 and b will be, what are we even to find? Find the coordinates of the center of a circle. We'll find the center, and b, 3 over 8 is minus b. That means b is minus 3 over 8. So therefore, the center of a circle is, the coordinate of the center of a circle is 5 over 8 minus 3 over 8. That took a bit of time, but it was to make sure that we didn't make any mistake and we got it right. And now to the next, I think the correct option is 5 over 8 minus 3 over 8. Yeah, the correct option is C. Now to number 31. 31 is A and B are two independent events such that P of A, the probability of A is 2 over 5 and the probability of B is, okay, they didn't give us the probability of B, they just gave us the probability of A intersection B. Of A intersection B is 1 over 15. Find the probability of B. If they are independent, that simply means the probability of A intersection B is the same as the probability of A times the probability of B, which means probability of A is 2 over 5 times the probability of B. Okay, no, I think I should write that simply means the probability of B is equal to the probability of A intersection B divided by the probability of A, which is going to be probability of A intersection B is 1 over 15 divided by 2 over 5, and that's of course 1 over 15 times 5 over 2, which is 5 here 1, 5 here 3, and that's of course 1 over 6. So the correct option is C. We go to the next, number 32. Number 32 is the parallelogram PQRS has vertices P minus 2, 3, Q 1, 4, R 2, 6, S minus 1, 5. Find the coordinate of the midpoint of the intersection of the intersection of its diagonals. Alright, let's have the parallelogram. Let's have a sketch of a parallelogram. This way. And this. Okay. PQR. P has coordinates minus 2, 3. Q has coordinates 1, 4. R has coordinates 2, 6, and S has coordinates minus 1, 5. Now, of course, we know in a parallelogram this is parallel to this, and this is parallel to this. So find the coordinates of the intersection, the point of intersection of their diagonals. These are their diagonals. And so if they intersect here, of course that point of intersection is the midpoint of each of the diagonals. So let me say intersection equals the point of intersection is going to be, the intersection is half, I'm using the what we call diagonal PR to find the midpoint of the point of intersection. So that's half x1 plus x2, which is 2 plus minus 2, and that's 2 minus 2. And then half x1 plus x2, half y1 plus y2, which is 6 plus 3 over 2. And that's simply 0 and 9 over 2. So this is the coordinate of a midpoint. You can use either the diagonal QS or PR to find the coordinate of a midpoint. The midpoint of the diagonal QS is the same as the midpoint of the diagonal PR. So the coordinates of the midpoint of the diagonal QS is the same as that of the coordinates, is the same as the coordinates of a midpoint of the diagonal PR. So you can use either of the diagonals to find the coordinates of a midpoint of a point of the midpoint of the intersection of the diagonals. We can use either diagonal PR or QS to find the coordinates of the point of intersection of the two diagonals. I just needed to make sure that's well said and clearly stated. That was clearly stated. Now to the next, which is number 33 quickly. 33, and I think the correct option to that is that's 0 9 over 2. They did 0 4 and a half. That's C. Find in third form the value of cos 165. Cos 165 is the same as cos 120 plus 45 degrees. 120 degrees plus 45 degrees. And that's the same as cos 120 degrees cos A cos B times cos 45 degrees minus sine A sine 120 degrees sine B, which is sine 45 degrees. I need my degree to show clearly. Sine 45 degrees. Cos A plus B is the same as cos A cos B minus sine A sine B. And cos 120 is the same as minus cos 6C. Cos 120 degrees is the same as minus cos 6C, which is, what's that? Cos 6C is minus cos 6C is minus 1 over 2 times, minus cos 6 is minus 1 over cos 45 is 1 over root 2. Is that correct? 1 over root 2 minus sine 120 is sine 120 is the same as cos 6C. No, sine 120 is the same as sine 120 is the same as sine, what do I call that? Sine 120 is the same as sine 6C, which is simply root 3 over 2 times sine 45, which is simply 1 over root 2. And that means I'm going to have minus 1 over 2 root 2 minus root 3 over 2 root 2, which means minus 1 minus root 3 all over 2 root 2. And that's the same as, okay, let's see, maybe that's even the form in which they left their answer. Okay, this simply means I can rationalize by multiplying this way, the numerator and denominator by root 2, and that means minus root 2 minus root 6 all over 2 root 4, which is 2 times 2, and that's 4. And that simply means, looking at the options, we are supposed to express our answer in this form. Okay, this simply means minus into root 2 root 6 plus root 2, which is the same as root 2 plus root 6 anyway, divided by 4, and that's minus 1 over 4 times root 6 plus root 2. And the correct option is D. I can say that, D. Now to the next, which is number 35. If A equals and B, these are column vectors, B equals minus 3 5 and B equals minus 3 5. Find a vector C such that 4A plus 3C equals B. If 4A plus 3C equals B, that means 4 times 3 plus 3C equals I think I should just write this first of all. If 4A plus 3B, if 4A plus 3C equals B, that simply means 3C equals B minus 4A. B minus 4A, and that's, what is B? Minus 3 5 minus 4 times A, which is 3 2, and that's equal to minus 3 5 minus 12 8, and that's of course minus 3 minus 12, that's minus 15. That's supposed to be a column vector. 5 minus 3 minus 8 rather, minus 3. So That means C, the vector C is going to be this vector minus 15 minus 3, the column vector minus 15, this column vector divided by 3, and that's going to be minus 5 minus 1. And that's it. The answer is B simply. Now to number 36. Number 36 is a lift moving upwards. Let's say this is a lift. Yeah, let's just take that. Moving upwards with a uniform acceleration of 5 meters per second squared, carries a body of mass p kilograms. It's carrying a body of mass p kilograms. If the reaction on the floor is 480 newtons, find the value of P. Reaction is acting upwards, certainly, and it's 480 newtons. Reaction R is 480 newtons. R equals 480 newtons. Okay, I know that the weight of the body is going to be, weight acts downwards, and it's mg, mass times acceleration, that's p times g. Okay, so what's that going to be? Find the value of p. If the body is going, if there's an acceleration, that means the force opposing that movement, that upward movement, is the weight. So I'm going to say acceleration ma, that's ma minus w is equal to what am I saying? The weight is suppressing it, is going up. Reaction is moving it up, so I'll say r minus w is equal to ma. Yes, r minus w, r upwards, w downwards. So r minus w is what's going to give us the acceleration, which means 480 minus w is, g is 10 meters per second squared. So p times g is going to be 10p equals ma, which is 5 times, the mass is 5 and the acceleration is, do we have the acceleration? Oh no, sorry. ma, mass is p and the acceleration is 5, so that means equals 5p. Mass is p and acceleration is 5, so ma equals 5p, and that simply means 480 equals 5p plus 10p, which means 15p equals 480, and p is therefore what we get when we divide 480 by, p is therefore 480 divided by 15, and that's 32 kilograms. I hope that's correct. Yes, that's correct. 32 kilograms, which is the correct option is A. Yeah, which is A. And now to the next very quickly. The next one is number 37. Question 37 says, calculate correct to one decimal place the angle between the vectors 5i plus 12j and 2i plus 3j. Okay, I can name them. Let me name them. Let A be 5i plus 12j and the vector B be 2i plus 3j. So A dot B is the same as magnitude of A times magnitude of B multiplied by the cosine of the angle between them. If theta, for example, is the angle between them, so that means cos theta is equal to A dot B divided by the product of their magnitudes. And that's A dot B is that's 5 times 2, 10, plus 12 times 3, 36. So that's 10 plus 36 over magnitude of A will be square root. This is square root 5 squared plus 12 squared. That's the square root of 169. Of course, we know that A is square root of 5 squared plus 12 squared, which is square root of 169, and that's 13. So the magnitude of A is 13 times the magnitude of B, which is 2 squared. Magnitude of B is the square root of 2 squared plus 3 squared, and that's the square root of 4 plus 9, 13. So the denominator is 13 root 13. And then I can write this as, this is going to become 46 over 13 root 13. That's correct. 10, 36, 46. So what does that mean? I can just do that once. That means cos theta. Sorry, theta is therefore the cos inverse of 46 divided by 13 root 13. And that is cos inverse of 46 divided by 13 root 13. I think I should do it in bits. 13 root 13, so 46 divided by 13 root 13. And now the cos inverse of that answer. 1 second, cos inverse of that answer, which is 11.07. Okay, that's approximately 11.07 degrees. So the angle between them is 11.07 degrees simply. I don't think the options are correct. That's the correct answer. Now to the next very quickly, number 38. A particle is projected vertically upwards from a height of 45 meters above the ground with a velocity of 40 meters per second. How long does it take to hit the ground? Take g equals 10 meters per second squared. Okay, let's do that. Let this be the height from the ground. If this is the height, yeah, and this is the ground, I need a straight line. Yeah, that's the ground. Now, okay, if this is 45 meters, that's the height above the ground, and the body is projected from here. This is a projection plane. The body is projected from here, and it goes this way down. Oh no. It goes this way down to hit the ground here. This is the velocity with which it was projected. U equals 40 meters per second. So what do? That's U. We know that this is the maximum height reached, and at this point V is equal to 0 meter per second. And the time taken, so first of all I want to find the time taken to reach the maximum height, and I know that time, okay, is the same as the time it will also take to hit the projection plane again. This is the projection plane. The time taken to reach maximum height is the same as time taken from maximum height to the point where it hits the projection plane again. So let me find that time. Time to hit maximum height, V equals, is going up, so it's against gravity. That will be U minus GT, which simply means GT equals U minus V. And we know that. So that means T equals U minus V over G, where U is 40 meters per second. I need to check that. Yeah, 40 meters per second minus V, which is 0 over 10. And that means T is 4 seconds. So if the time it takes to reach maximum height is 4 seconds, that means time to hit, so from this place to this place took 4 seconds. Then from this place to the projection plane again will take another 4 seconds. So that means time to reach, time taken to reach, let me just say time to reach projection plane, to return to the projection plane, time to return to projection plane equals 2 times T, which is 2 times 4, and that's 8 seconds. So if that's it, now we need to find the time taken to drop from the projection plane to the ground. So, and it's going to do that in a distance of 45 meters. So when it's coming down, we know that S equals ut plus half gt squared. And that simply means 45. S is the distance it has to travel, which is the height from which it is falling. U, at that point, okay, velocity is, what's velocity? Plus half gt squared. Hold on a sec, v u with the velocity of that. Okay, yeah, and that's going to be 40t plus 1 over 2 times g, which is 10 times t squared. And that simply means 2 here 1, 2 here 5. 45 now equals 40t plus 5t squared. When we divide through by, first of all, I want to write 5t squared plus 40t minus 45. That's bringing 45 to the right hand side equals 0. Dividing through by 5, t squared plus 8t minus 9 equals 0. And that simply means t, when you factorize this, what do we have? 9 minus 1, t plus 9 times t minus 1 equals 0. When you factorize this, what you have, and that means t equals minus 9 or t equals 1. But time cannot be negative, so that means t is 1 second. Therefore, total time taken to calculate the okay, how long does it take to hit the ground? Total time taken to hit the ground. Taking to hit the ground. Hit the ground is going to be equal to, now we know that the time it took from this point to the ground is 1 second, and the time it took from this point where it was projected back to the projection plane to return to the projection plane is 4 seconds. Sorry, the time is 8 seconds from the point of projection back to the projection plane is 8 seconds, and from the projection plane to the ground is 1 second. That means total time taken to hit the ground from where it was projected is going to be 8 plus 1, which is 9 seconds. How about clear from your knowledge of physics? I'm sure you're going to understand that. Yes, so the next one is 39 actually. 39, which says two forces each of magnitude 16 are inclined to each other at an angle of 60 degrees. Calculate the magnitude of their resultant. Oh, that's a piece of cake. Let this be the forces. 16 newtons. The next one is this, also 16 newtons. Now we use them, we're representing them as the adjacent sides of a parallelogram. Okay, so that simply means, so this is the resultant. The resultant is drawn by the parallelogram law of forces. The resultant is drawn from a common point of the two forces. So if the angle between them, first of all, before I go to the resultant, the angle between them is 60 degrees. If that's 60 degrees, this will also be 60 degrees. And this is the resultant. It must be drawn from a common point. So this will be 120 degrees. And then we can find easily the resultant. R squared is equal to 16 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 16 times 16 cos. I'll move that back a little so I have some space. Cos 120 degrees. That's cos 120 degrees. And that if you work that out, you're going to get, let's go, 16 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 16 times 16 cos 120 equals 768. That's what you're going to get if you work that out. And that means r equals square root of 768, which is, the square root of the answer is 27.7128, which is 13 approximately. And that's 27 to 2 decimal places, 0.71 newtons. And the correct answer is, oh no, they wrote that in short form. So let's see, how do we do that? 768 divided by, let's see, okay, this is the same as square root of course, 256 times 3, which is 16 root 3. Square root of 256 is 16, and that's 16 root 3 newtons. So the resultant is 16 root 3 newtons, and the correct option is B. Now to the last one, finally, ABCD is a square. Forces of magnitudes 14 newtons, 4 newtons, 2 newtons, and 2 newtons act along. Let's have a square first of all. Let's have a square. This is a sketch of a square. Now ABCD. AB is 14 newtons. BC is 4 newtons. CD is 2 newtons. The small letter n is supposed to be capital for newtons. And DA is 2 root 2 newtons. 2 root 2 newtons. Now what's the question? Find the newtons, the magnitude of the resultant of the forces. Okay, I know that resultant is the same as r squared is summation fx, which is summation of horizontal component of forces, r squared, plus summation of vertical component of forces. So that means r itself is the square root of that, summation fx squared plus summation fy squared. So what is f summation fx? That's the sum of horizontal component of forces. I want to do this so that we can see what we are doing without having to scroll down again. Let's copy that and paste an image of it here. Yeah, so summation of horizontal component of forces will be 14 newtons. The 2 newton force is in the negative x-axis, so that's minus 2 newtons. So that's 14 minus 2, which is 12 newtons. And the summation of vertical component of forces is going to be 2 root 2 newtons is positive, 4 newtons is negative. That's 2 root 2 minus 4. 2 root 2 minus 4. Let's take this out. 2 root 2 minus 4. And that means, what's 2 root 2 minus 4? That's minus 1.172 approximately. So that therefore means r equals square root summation fx squared will be 12 squared plus summation fy squared will be minus 1.172 squared. And that simply means, what's the square of this answer? 12 squared is 144. Let me do 12 squared plus minus 1.172 squared. So that's the square root of 145.374. And that's, yeah, 374 approximately. And the square root of the answer is 12 12.06 newtons. 12.06 newtons. Wow, and that's C. So that's it. Very, very simply. That took a bit of time, but it was to make sure that you understood everything. Thank you very much, and see you in the next.